The late afternoon sun stretched its golden fingers across the worn porch of an old farmhouse. Jack Miller stood there, wiping the sweat from his brow as he admired the roof he'd just finished repairing. The horizon darkened with thick, rolling clouds. The storm everyone had been talking about was finally on its way. Jack had finished just in time, at 38. Years of hard work had left their marks, calloused hands, tired eyes, and a quiet strength that only comes from weathering life's hardest storms. 3 years ago, he'd lost his wife, Lisa, to cancer, leaving him to raise their 8-year-old son, Ethan, on his own. This roofing job had come through word of mouth. A woman named Elena had called, worried about a leak before the storm hit. Her farmhouse stood at the edge of Pinewood Creek, a small town where Jack and Ethan had recently moved for a fresh start and a more affordable life. "Thank you for coming so quickly," Elena said, stepping onto the porch. She was in her 40s, with long, dark hair tied back, and eyes that carried both kindness and quiet wisdom. "Happy to help," Jack replied, sliding his tools into an old leather bag. "The damage was worse than I thought, but it should hold through the storm." Elena glanced up at the sky, where thunder rumbled faintly in the distance. "I've been meaning to fix this place for years," she sighed. "It's a beautiful home," Jack said sincerely. "Just needs some love and a bit of hard work." A gust of wind swept through the yard, carrying the scent of rain. Jack's phone buzzed, a message from Mrs. Harmon, the elderly neighbor who watched Ethan after school. "Everything all right?" Elena asked. "My sitter needs to leave early," Jack said, frowning. "I should get back before the weather turns." "Of course," she said with a smile. "Come by tomorrow if you'd like to make sure the roof's holding up." "I'll do that," Jack said, returning her smile. When she asked about his son, Jack's expression softened. "Ethan's 8, curious, stubborn, and the best part of my life." Elena's eyes softened too, as if she understood that kind of love all too well. By the time Jack packed up and left, the first heavy raindrops were falling. "Looks like I made it just in time," he said with a grin. "My hero," Elena replied, laughing lightly. That night, as thunder rolled outside, Jack and Ethan shared a simple dinner of spaghetti, played board games by lantern light, and listened to the rain drum against the roof. It wasn't much, but it was theirs. The next morning dawned clear and bright. After dropping Ethan at school, Jack drove back to Elena's farmhouse to check the roof. As he pulled up, he noticed a sleek black car parked beside Elena's modest sedan. A man in a tailored suit was shaking her hand before driving away. "Morning," Elena called. The roof held perfectly. "Not a single leak." "Glad to hear it," Jack replied. She invited him in for coffee, and he accepted. Inside, the farmhouse was simple but clean. Sunlight filtered through windows that needed washing, and the smell of coffee filled the air. They talked about the house, its strong bones, the beautiful woodwork, and the history within its walls. Then Elena smiled thoughtfully. "I should introduce myself properly," she said. "Elena Winters." The name hit Jack immediately. Winters Development, Winters Conservation, Winters Foundation, one of the wealthiest families in the state. "I didn't realize," Jack admitted, feeling awkward. Elena chuckled softly. "I try not to lead with that. It's nice to be treated like a regular person sometimes." Jack relaxed, curiosity replacing embarrassment. "So why this old place? You must have properties all over." "This farmhouse belonged to my grandfather," Elena said, her gaze distant. "He built it himself. I spent summers here as a kid, fishing in the creek, climbing apple trees, learning to work with my hands. It's the only place that ever felt like home." Jack nodded, understanding. Loss had its own language, and he spoke it fluently. Then Elena told him about her plan to restore the farmhouse and turn the surrounding land into a retreat for children who had lost their parents, a place of healing and hope. "I'm looking for someone to oversee the restoration," she said softly. "Someone who understands rebuilding, not just with wood and nails, but with hearts." Jack hesitated. "I'm just a carpenter." "You're a father who knows what it means to start over," she replied gently. "That's exactly what I need." Outside, sunlight danced through the maple trees, scattering gold across the grass. For a long time, Jack said nothing. The offer meant steady work, a home for him and Ethan, and maybe, just maybe, a fresh purpose. "I don't know what to say," he finally murmured. "Say you'll think about it." Elena smiled, standing. "Come on, let me show you the caretaker's cottage." They walked across the dew-soaked field to a small stone cottage nestled among apple trees. Jack's chest tightened with something he hadn't felt in years. "Hope, Ethan would love it here," he said quietly. "I think he would too," Elena replied, her hand brushing his arm. "Some things break us, Jack, but with enough care, almost anything can be rebuilt." Jack looked at the cottage, then back at the farmhouse with its new roof gleaming in the morning light. He realized she wasn't just talking about buildings, she was talking about life. "I'd like to bring Ethan to see it," he said. "I'd love that," Elena replied, as they stood beneath the apple trees. Sunlight streaming through the leaves. Jack felt it. The storm had passed, and for the first time in years, he was ready to build again. Whispers of Kindness reminding us that sometimes, the most important repairs aren't to houses or roofs, but to hearts.